Hello everybody, in this video I want to talk about flow configuration and default flow config file in React Native projects. So to find it in docs on flow.org, go to the docs, configuration, and here is flow config description. Basically flow config is required in any flow projects. It has some specific format with different section which place inside square brackets. Also comments allowed with number sign, semicolons and poop emoji. Let's take a look in our project, and we have flow config here. Let's dive into it. So flow config include section. Basically by default flow include root directory where flow config file placed, and also you can add more files by adding passes inside include sections. For example, you want some external file, so you want looking outside of project directory, maybe some external dir or external project, anything like this. As you can see, it is empty by default in our React Native project file. So let's continue with ignore. Ignore basically section which contains regular expressions, is some specific OCaml regular expressions. More details you can find here. And what it do, it ignore everything you place in this section. For example, you want skip all test directories and what inside these directories, so flow will not check these directories. And what we have by default configuration, it will ignore android.js files. I'm not sure why, but I think it has some conflicts with when we have situation, we have, for example, iOS and Android.js, different component versions, so they decided to skip Android once. Also, it ignores bug generated dirs, some polyfills from React Native libraries, node modules warning which is required by FBJS lib, and some loading view from utilities, and comment says flow doesn't support platforms. Not sure what it means exactly. And next is Untyped Section. It's a bit different, kind of similar with ignore, but as it said, is different from the ignore config section that calls matching files to be ignored by the module resolver, which inherently makes them untype checked and also unresolved by import and require. So this is mean you will need to declare your some third-party module types in some file and declared it in libs or flow type directory. We will talk about flow type in future videos. And it also different from declaration sections. We will see it as well. So this also does not type check the file contents. Let's check our config, untype, and here we see only React Native community CLI, which we don't really interested about while developing React Native projects. Next is a libs section. Basically, it tells Flow to include specified library definitions. Also, we will talk about it in next videos. But basically what we have here, node modules React Native interface.js. Let's take a look. Interface.js, so it's declared some default JS functions like fetch something and other stuff here. Also flow directory. So flow, it's defined some types, for example for promise. Okay, next section is lints. It described in LinkedIn docs. Basically it contains configuration about flow linting. So let's have a look. Now flowconfig, and we see different rules. For example, sketch a null number. So here is situation if we defined some x value and then we checked if x, it could be either value 0 or null, undefined, like this. So in this case we can add config for these rules. We can add turn off it, we can warn about it, or we can say it is the error, like this, off, error, or warn. You can check all other lints configurations inside the docs. Okay, options. Options is also flow configuration options which are available. Let's take a look what we have in options section here. Like we have emoji true, it means it supports emoji in status messenger of flow outputs. ES proposal is basically about ECMAScript proposal to JavaScript standard. It's enable optional chaining and nullish coalescing. You can take more details if you follow the docs. Like, you can see more about this proposal. Module file extension, it's basically what file extensions we should check for our modules. So here we specified JS, JSON, and iOS JS. I think because of iOS JS we ignore Android JS. Munje underscores is true, which I remember what is it? Okay, it's basically about private class properties, some old stuff. Module Namemapper. It takes some regular expression and it maps some files or directories. For example, you want file with such name, image !foo.jpg will be treated by Flow as image stub. So everything inside React Native, it points to React Native, and all files extension, like when you try import some SVG or MP4 HTML, it will point Flow to the relative image stubs. Suppress type. So suppress type is the situation when we not ready to put correct type and we won't just use any, but any will throw the error. So we can define some suppress types and use it like this, and it will not throw the error. We have $flow issue, flow fix me props, flow fix me state by default in our configuration. And suppress comment, it basically suppress error from the next line. Like here we have string type, but we assign a number and it will throw the error, but because of this suppress comment it will hide it. Versions section is basically you can specify a version which you expect to use by this configuration. So we did install flow bin with our version from this section. Declaration, we don't have declaration in our config, but basically it specifies the passes when you want to have like types declaration from the library but don't want to check code of this library, so we just want to take it declarations. Okay, that's it. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the new videos.